something that you've mentioned, and I also, I mean, I've been following you guys anyway because
Oh,
of,
awesome.
because I know you from Smart Noise.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, the organic side of things. And so I saw, on TikTok, you are at 230,000. And I actually saw you like live probably six times. Like,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I actually like. I mean, I was aware of you because again, because of Smart Noise, but you showed up in my TikTok feed, and I
That's awesome.
and I was like, I know this guy, you know.
Cool. Yeah, you should say hi next time. We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah,
Um,
I will.
I can give you a little bit more context on that. We do live streaming pretty much like 2 or 3 days a week, where our whole gimmick or shtick is that we learn songs in 30 seconds or less. And so lots of people come in and they say like, yeah, play Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force, expecting that we've never played it before, when actually we learn it pretty much every stream. But the thing that's kind of driving the engagement is that people can make a request, and if we like the request enough and we think it's in line enough with Satakoi's music, like our original music, then we say, yeah, sure, let's trigger the TikTok algorithm to say, okay, I'm going to push the live stream to more people that like Dragon Force or that like alternative rock or metal. And so that's probably why you were like it may have come up on your Discover page, precisely because you like that kind of music and we're like in a similar vein to the music that
Yeah,
you like.
I mean, I I know what you guys do in terms of like genre and whatever, but we probably come from the same background. I mean, I come from the Warped Tour emo scene.
Yeah.
I played in, metalcore bands for my whole life. Right now, we basically we parted ways in 2018. We formed another band, and we do like hardcore punk type stuff. But yeah, I mean, it. I know we probably come from the kind of same background. Song for
Yeah. Yeah.
playing T. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I mean, you are on that playlist, so we are
Yeah.
exactly on the same page. So that is awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
And
we
what
can get to
about
that later. That's actually one of my playlists that I have been filling with Sadako songs, and then also filling it out with other bands that are similar to try and drive the
amazing?
Spotify algorithm. Yeah.
So what about Instagram then? Because then like there I can see you guys had 35,000 followers. So and what I see many times is that there is an artist that like is huge on TikTok. They have like hundreds of thousands of followers, but then on IG they have like 1/10. And like I also know, and I'm not saying in a bad way, like I'm saying, especially because even from like for companies or for even artists, usually, and that's not, obviously all like every time a follower, like getting followers on IG is way harder than on TikTok. I don't know if you agree. Like, what is the sort of correlation between, what you're doing on TikTok versus IG? Do you guys know which platform is driving more traffic? Like, I would be very curious to know that.
Yeah, we only live stream on TikTok, so I think we naturally will get more followers on TikTok. And you are right that like, we have maybe 20% of the followers on Instagram. I think we're at like somewhere around 30K, 36K on Instagram, but we have 220K on TikTok. We do put the same content on both. We do cross post, and naturally the songs that do really well that we do 30-second covers of on TikTok are like K-pop, like things that are generally getting shared, reposted, and tons of comments. And on Instagram, we never had that huge like breakout cover video, cover of a K-pop song. The reason why we were at like 3,000 followers, I think, in 2023, and then in December of 2023, we posted a cover of a Mitski song. I actually forget what the song is called, but it's has the same chord progression as Radiohead's "Creep," and somebody mentioned that like in an offhanded comment, and then everyone said, "Oh yeah, it is the same chord progression as Creep." And yeah, it just blew up. It got like over 100,000 views, which on Instagram can be fairly significant. Like maybe
Yeah.
on TikTok, it's like puny
No, it
numbers,
is for
but
sure.
and we followed that up actually by with like a skit that was advertising our original music. And that was the thing that really put us that hit like uh, a million views, and it made our followers go from like 3,000 to close to 8,000
Mm,
in the span of about a week. So I think there's some like crater effect, or like to me, I think that TikTok has each video seems to be on an island in some way, in the sense that the success of one video doesn't really affect the success of the next video from the same creator. I think it might be a little bit different with Instagram. That's my impression, because the Mitski video got like had like this like outsize number of views, and then we followed it up with like an original music post, and that like organically had a lot of reach. And once people started sharing, talking about it, and there was like a little bit of controversy because it was like there was a rapper involved, and people said it wasn't rap, or people said it was rap. But in any case, it was shared a bunch. A lot of people then went to our Spotify and like started streaming and following us, and we got a huge boost just from like posting on Instagram, which was awesome. Like not even running ads, which is great.
okay. So let's say I am an artist, I am a band, and I'm starting at, 2,000 followers. So you guys obviously know how to create content. You have, collectively more than what, like 300,000 followers basically.
Yeah.
So let's say, I have, I start from 2,000 followers. What are the things that you would suggest to do to focus on to create so then I could basically try to get the same results as you guys? Obviously, the starting point is have good music, right? Like that is
For
obviously,
sure. Always.
but I mean, because you obviously not only got great results, but you probably spent a shit ton of time, but then also learned a lot. So yeah, I would be very curious to know, what are your tips? What is your sort of framework or whatever the hell you want?
Yeah, I think the tipping point for us was basically finding some content that people can relate to that is in the like general genre of the music that we play. So we started out by doing like like alternative rock covers, and like learning songs in 30 seconds. And there's very clear hook there. Our singer gets it up in the camera and says, "We're learning a song in 30 seconds or less. Let's try it." People see our reaction to the song, so like they get a little bit of like validation if they really like the song, that like we're musicians and we're like, oh yeah, this song's cool, I haven't heard this song before. And then there's like the payoff, the talent part, which is like we normally do a pretty good job playing the song back. Sometimes we fail miserably, and actually the first time that we went viral, we tried to play like a Mexican banda, and we totally botched it. But a bunch of Mexicans like got on and were like, hey, you're invited to the carne asada anyway. Like we really appreciated you at least listening to the music and like trying to broaden your horizons as musicians. So first thing, what you said, like having good quality content, music in general is really important. If you don't have great music, no matter what you do, you're always going to hit some kind of ceiling. And then I think for if you are convinced that your music is good and you just need it in front of a bigger audience, you have to kind of go to the audience rather than just like waiting around making a ton of content being like, why isn't anyone watching my video about how I like use some sample that nobody's ever heard of in my production technique. It's because you have to like think in the mind of the audience member, like what are they going to stop swiping for? And in a lot of cases, it's like for familiar content. Like somebody doesn't necessarily want to discover new music all the time, and so when we're doing learning songs in 30 seconds, people have an entry point to be like, oh, I know this song. I want to see how like a musician thinks about playing it, or how they would react to listening to it. And in that way, it's like really powerful in the sense that like the audience is all of a sudden much wider now.
And
Not everyone
how
wants to discover music.
and how often do you guys post?
So in 2020, we were posting pretty much every day.
Well,
One of the nice things about the learning songs in 30 seconds is it takes a minute. You listen for 30 seconds, you play for 30 seconds, you cut
either
the video,
succeed or
insert.
fail.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's really easy to batch generate content. So we were doing we can sit down for an hour and get 60 videos. They still need to be edited, so there's like a little bit overhead time there for sure. But we could have really high throughput, and we were posting pretty much every day. I don't think that's like super sustainable long term. Like we definitely burned out from that. And one of the things that I wish that we had done a little bit more of is like trying to find the next like learning a song in 30-second series
sort of
while we're still
format. Yeah.
peppering. Yeah, exactly. While we're still peppering in the
Yeah,
old
so
content.
it sort of sounds like that because also from other artists that I discovered or follow, they tend to follow a specific format pretty much every time or until they sort of exhaust type like that format. So what it sounds like is that you want to try to find some sort of format that you can stick to. So obviously, like you said, it's not super sustainable, but at the same time, I mean, you did it for what, like a year? I mean, you
Yeah,
still did
yeah,
it. It's a long
yeah.
time. Like you have like now more than how many? So you have, I mean, on TikTok, I can see how many posts you guys have, but you have a lot, that's for sure. And so, okay, yeah, that is probably something that when, you think about content, you don't necessarily think about. When people think about content, they go, shit, if I want to post like one post per day, I need to sit down every day, record one video and then edit one video and then post one video. But
Right.
that is also something that, because again, I wish I had more time to actually make music. I have my own band and I have a lot of fun. We play shows, we do our thing, but it's obviously not my main thing. But a couple of weeks ago, we basically sat down and because we were basically not posting anything. We haven't
Mm,
posted anything in months. And so we put like three cameras during band practice like 3 weeks ago. And in
nice.
2 hours, we put together like 22 videos.
Great. Yeah.
So, and they are very well shot, very well edited. The music, I think, is pretty good. And then so we don't have many followers. We have 6,500 on IG, but every video has hit at least 4 or 5 thousand views,
That's great.
which for 6,500 followers, it's actually pretty good. Engagement is good, but what I'm trying to say is when you think about content, not as a it's obviously not the most exciting thing for a lot of artists, but if you try to also have fun, but also create it in a way that is smart and it doesn't like burn out, like
Yeah.
like you don't get burnout from it, it can be sustainable, because what I've also noticed is that and I'm also talking to myself when it comes to posting about smartness. Like what I'm also struggling is it's not so much the quality of content, but it's also staying consistent. And the times when I am consistent, that is when you can see results. And it doesn't
Mm,
mean posting every day. It can be one time per week, but as long as you're consistent, you're going to see results. So, you know,
yeah.
band like practice couple hours, you get 12 videos, you might have content for 3 months, you know because at least one per week, so yeah, that
Yeah.
is.
I do think it's important to also like suss out from the first several posts, like are these numbers going up? Is this like a format that the audience is resonating with and wants more of, or is this just we just thought it was good and we've presented it to people that don't know the band or don't know our music and they're not resonating with it. We spent like afternoons coming up with like a cool skit idea for like one of our songs and multiple hours, multiple people, and posted it and get several hundred views. It's like super frustrating, super disappointing, but like it's really important to put yourself in the mind of your audience. Like if you are scrolling past the feed of four guys that you don't know playing music that you don't know, are you going to stop? If it's really great, yeah. If it's really relevant to me, yeah. But like if it's not, probably not, right? So like Yeah, it's always important to think like I know my band, I know my music, I think my music is good, but is somebody else who's like super cold to us going to be resonating in the same way?
Yeah,
It's hard to tell sometimes. Yeah.
but what I've also noticed is that especially when you're, starting out with proper content, you're afraid and don't post because you want, every video to be perfect. You want every
Yeah.
video to be quality. But what I notice is that quality comes from quantity. And
Yeah.
so you have to sort of give yourself the permission to suck at the beginning, because the more you do it, the more you get better at it, and the more views you're gonna get, the more comments, followers, streams, merch sales. I mean, whatever that is. But I think, not, you know, giving yourself the permission to suck is, yeah, I I think that's key, honestly.
Yeah. And the algorithm's hungry. Like they Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they want you to submit content. Gives them more data points to work off of. They tend to push content that's new and interesting to the audience. And if you're not posting, you're not able to reach those audiences.
Yeah.
That simple,
So
right?
so you guys have, posting consistently, you have followers, you have an audience, but what is your goal? Like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously getting followers amazing, getting views amazing, but ultimately, like, what are you guys trying to do, and what is your sort of back end strategy behind getting followers?
Yeah. So what we're trying to do now is essentially get more Spotify listeners, like fans that are listening on Spotify, like actively and actively invested in um, our like welfare and like how we're doing as a band. We have a Discord that we've set up that people can come in and like ask us questions and get involved in our community. It's called the Koi Pond, which is named after like the latter part of the band name Sadakoi. And we're trying to like basically like form a community there so that people can talk about Sadakoi releases. We can share some early stuff and really get people like involved where they would want to come out to a show, even if it's their first show or their 50th show. They want to like come and support us. Uh, that's one prong of things. Another prong, I think, is that we started out actually doing a lot of indie pop music, and now we've moved kind of into the alt rock and pop punk realm. And
Hmm.
so recently, I've been trying to essentially like figure out how I'm going to give Spotify and other streaming platforms the right signals so that they will, put our music in the same radio station as like an actually relevant artist, because without that information it's confusing to Spotify to have like an artist that has one indie pop track and one alt
Yeah.
rock track, right? it's
And
it's it's hard.
for everyone watching or listening, the worst way to do this is paying for bullshit playlists
Right.
with random music, getting
Right.
your music there. So Spotify has no clue who your music is for, and you go nowhere. So, like, I've seen so many artists do it, like just getting on some random playlists, being excited because they get to 15, thousand monthly listeners. Where fans also like section disappears because Spotify has no freaking idea who their audience is. They are removed from the playlist and they go back to 200 monthly listeners. It's just
Yeah, don't do
stupid.
that. Yeah.
It's just stupid. And obviously, you know what you are talking about. And yeah, that is just something that, like when I look at your fans also like section, it makes sense. Like if you like any successful artist, if you visit their, Spotify page and you like them and you also listen to the other artists in the fans also like section, if you can fall in love with at least 50% of them, it means that they are doing it the right way.
Yep. Yeah, totally. The way to that Spotify does this is they're looking at co-listening data. Who listened to Sadakoi and then listened to the Rex right afterwards. If a lot of people did that, then the Rex are going to be in the more like, or fans also like, section of Sadakoi's account, which is exactly what we want. We're trying to get people to listen to our song and then similar alt rock artists. And that was a little bit of an uphill battle, to be honest. We did some meta advertising and we had to be really deliberate on TikTok, actually through Smart Noise, where we were basically saying, hey, if you pre-save our album, we'll play your song. You pre-save our if you save on Smart Noise, we'll play your request.
Hmm.
And we started off the stream by only doing songs in the alt rock realm so that TikTok would push on the discovery, the For You page for people that like alt rock. So we were getting like the right listeners to go to Smart Noise, pre-save all of our future releases, and then we can see on our side who saved. And if somebody said, hey, I'm Jack from Alabama, I'm the one that just pre-saved, can you play Arctic Monkeys? We're like, yes, of course. Thanks for pre-saving. You just help us with the Spotify algorithm.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we want.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is also one thing that I know a lot of artists did that I, you know, did it with them or, for them. I also did it for my own band. And especially for my own band, I don't know if it was like a coincidence, but so what was it? I think it was before the first song came out. Shit, I can't remember now. But so I created a Spotify playlist with the artists that we were sort of, that we were kind of similar to. And we know our audience would basically love. And so I remember that I grew the playlist like I can't remember how many followers, probably 500 in like 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, like spending $10 a day, something like that. And when the first song came out, we had the fans also like section that made so much sense. It
Yeah.
was perfect, but I can't remember if maybe I did it the first like 4 or 5 days the first song actually came out, because obviously with no song, there is no like placement that would make sense. So I did that, and it made a lot of sense, and it helped a lot. A lot of artists too, that their main strategy, because when it comes to paid ads and you send traffic to just the album or just one single, it works. It can definitely work. But what a lot of artists do is they have their own playlist, and they place their music as every other song,
Yep.
including the other artist music that fit their sort of audience, and they drive traffic to that playlist. So not only they want their listeners play their music together with other artists that make perfect sense for them, so the all fans also like section sort of benefits from it. But then also they get more streams per listener, because obviously when you send to a playlist, you don't get three, or I mean 2 3, which is kind of the average, but you can get up to 6 or 7. But you can also grow an asset for your playlist that potentially, if that is something that works for you and you like doing, you can go on platforms like Submit a Playlist Push, apply to become music curator, get paid, and reinvest money into your music, or to get sushi every weekend. If it's up to you. But
Yep.
that is something that works extremely well.
Yep. We can
And
talk about that a little bit. I
please.
just got into that. I started two playlists. One's called Alt Forever. It's an alt rock playlist, and one is called Songs for Playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And so one is like the alt Forever one is more like genre related. The Songs for Playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is meant to be like kind of like passive listening. You put it on, you play Tony Hawk for 3 hours or 4 hours, and then
That's good.
incidentally you listen to nice. Incidentally, you listen to like 7 or 8 Sadako songs, but also a bunch of songs from artists that are in a very similar vein to Sadako. So those are both on Submit Hub and
And
Groover.
you're running ads and growing the playlist.
Yeah, I'm running ads,
Would
which
you be
is
able to share the screen and show campaigns if you're down?
yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yeah, because something that I really want to do is, when I get cool people like you, here doing cool shit, showing the people how they are doing it is super, super valuable.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to see like the meta ads library, like the asset itself, or the
I mean, it's up to you. Are you doing it
or
through
like the
SmartNoise or
stats? I'm doing it through Meta.
got it? Well, if you want to share your like campaign on Meta.
One second.
And I also think that, something that also I think a lot of artists don't necessarily put a lot of focus on is the actual content for the ads. So I would love to, see what type of ads you're running. So the are you tracking like the cost per follower as well? Like, well,
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely a touch and go start as I used maybe something like 20 ads, like ad creatives or like different videos to start and like pretty quickly winnowed it down to two or three
okay.
and then kind of just copy pasted. I actually used one of your templates,
Oh,
like
nice.
the text that goes across the
Yeah.
screen. Anyway, okay, let's see if I can share this screen. System settings.
Oh yeah, Apple. He's doing Apple thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Google Chrome may not be able to record the contents of your screen until it's quit. Let
Oh,
me.
that's fine, dude. That's fine.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, I don't have Firefox too, but I think it's the same issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine, dude. That's fine.
Uh,
Well, perhaps I can
you know
share
what?
my
I can do.
screen.
Yeah.
I can share my
I'll
screen and go to the ads library because I mean
exactly.
I can put a link somewhere either here on like YouTube or whatever with the link to replicate the campaign, but definitely showing the ads you guys are using is probably I mean it's definitely helpful. So
Cool.
I
Yeah,
can.
I put it in the chat just now too. So if you wanted to just copy that,
Do
you should
you
be able to.
think I can find you on ads library myself?
I think you probably could.
Yeah, I am ready to find you guys. Okay, so this is what these guys are running. So correct me if I'm wrong. This one is for the playlist as well, and this one is. Do you know what that is for?
Yeah, this is so the skit that went viral and got over 1 million views. I just basically copied it and put it into an ad and didn't do anything else besides just kind of posted it. So it's like it's essentially a skit about our music. Um,
Okay,
and
got
then
it,
it goes to a playlist that is all Sadako songs.
got it. Very cool. And so let's show people what the ad looks like. Oh yeah, that is the
Yeah,
ad
this is
template.
yours.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Do you remember what the cost per conversion is?
Uh, the cost for a click through, so I'm
Hmm.
using like a tone den link, 11 cents,
What are
which
you
is
doing? What are you? Okay, 7 cents,
11 cents. 11
11
cents.
cents. Well, that's pretty good. Are you
But then
targeting like tier one countries or?
I'm doing tier one and tier two.
Okay, nice.
And I just put on Advantage Plus because I wanted to see how it did, and it does quite a bit better both in terms of CPC and follower, like cost per follower. Um, and then this is just yeah, the Tony Hawk.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great, man. 11 cents per conversion and
That's 3 cents per conversion. That one's super cheap. But it's like
three
also
cents.
yeah, yeah,
Jesus Christ, 3 cents. That's almost free.
almost yeah.
And
Uh, it, it's still maybe I think 10 cents per follower. So it's
I mean, dude,
yeah,
I don't think
that's
you
good.
could get it any better, to be honest. Like less than 10 cents, not per conversion, not per click, but per playlist follower. Like it's crazy.
Nice.
Good
Yeah,
for you guys.
glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean sometimes you're just like kind of freewheeling. You're like I don't know if this is working or not. It seems like the
No,
cost per
it's
click is
definitely
down,
working.
but yeah,
No, it's
nice.
definitely working. Cool stuff, man. Well, cool. We definitely went through a bunch of things here and definitely a lot of cool nuggets for sure. I don't know, but is there anything else that comes to mind that might be worth sharing? Maybe some, I don't know, tips, strategy. I mean, whatever comes to mind, really.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of people, maybe we can discuss this a little bit, but I think a lot of people that I've seen try to get their similar artists, catalog worked out in the sense that they want their songs to be, or they want their artist page. The fans also like artists to be similar to them, and that's great. Some people think that the way to do that is to like just shoot for like the mega, the like 10 million monthly listeners, like the Nirvanas and like the Foo Fighters of like the space. I actually don't think that that's very smart. You'll never see fans also like artists that has like significantly more monthly listeners than the artists that whose page you're on. So I think it is important to really dial in your niche within the space, like within the genre that you're going after, and realizing that like a lot of people that like Nirvana also like music that is not is rock, that is not grunge. So try and really like think deliberately about the artists that you're really similar to. And maybe they don't have like millions and millions of monthly listeners, but it's actually better to have a hyper specific and hyper relevant artist on that fans also like widget than it is to have like a super mega star artist that has wide appeal and might attract listeners that don't actually like your genre of music. They just like Nirvana or like they
Yep.
just like something that's really familiar to them.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, we are gonna leave links to your guys' music, I mean, somewhere here. What
Awesome.
is the best place for people to follow you, or is it
Cool.
IG, TikTok?
IG, TikTok, we've been on a little bit of a posting hiatus, but we're going to get back to it soon. We've got a release coming out next month that's like in the alt rock space. If you want to like talk with me and the other Sada boys directly, you can come to our Discord, which is discord.gg/Sadakoi. We're pretty active in there, and we're always like interested in meeting new fans. And yes, stay up to date, stay in touch.
Amazing. That was fun. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.